Hi everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. This is Zach here, and I am here bringing you another album review, and this time for another Dream Theater album. That's right. Now, I believe I did review Train of Thought on my channel before, and I don't remember if I reviewed any of other Dream Theater's albums, but yeah, but nonetheless, I'm really excited for Dream Theater's new album coming out in February, Distance Over Time. You know, that the first single that they came out with, I think, is still really good. You know, what can I say? And, you know, I thought it'd be a good idea to review this album here, so that's what we'll be doing. So today we'll be reviewing Octavarium by Dream Theater. I'll show you the jewel case and the packaging real quick. There you go. So, right off the bat, I just gotta say, this is a really great album. This is actually an album I've been listening to a lot recently. You know, ever since, you know, whenever I listened to Train of Thought, that's when I really started to listen to Dream Theater more consistently. And my first Dream Theater album was actually Awake, but, you know, whenever I started with that album, they were a band that I thought, yeah, it's probably not going to be a band I'm going to be heavily into. But after listening to Train of Thought, I was pretty wrong about that, let's just say. And, you know, sometimes, you know, whenever I listen to Dream Theater, like, sometimes, like, I go on a binge with some of their albums. You know, there's days where I binge on, you know, 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, Metropolis 2, sometimes Falling into Infinity. And so lately I've been binging on Octavarium, and for good reason. I think this album has a lot of their best songs on it. Well, we'll of course start off with The Root of All Evil, which I think is a really great album opener. It has this like organ that just opens up the album abruptly, and it has like these sound effects during the beginning, and it's kind of weird because, like, during the intro, like, you just kind of think you don't know what's going to happen. Like, you don't know what's coming. And all of a sudden, you know, you got some guitar riffs, and the musicianship on this track is, of course, really well done. And so is the vocal work. The vocal work is also something to mention. And I think it's a really great way to open up an album. And then the second track, which is The Answer Lies Within. This is also a good song. I don't know if I would consider it one of my favorites, though. It is more on the ballad side. It is more of a softer song. It's pretty peaceful. And, you know, the next track after that is These Walls, which I think is actually a really good song. It's also a song that's kind of like a chill song, but not as, you know, like relaxing as The Answer Lies Within. But These Walls has some unique things about it, and it kind of reminds me of like their like stuff that I heard from Images and Words. So yeah, and then the track after that, I Walk Beside You. This is an interesting song. This is a song that I think is actually pretty good. It's more on the fun side of things with this album, and yeah, I don't think it's one that's worth complaining about. And Panic Attack, I wouldn't say this is one of my favorites. I think this is a song that does need to take a while to grow on me. I don't know. There's just not much to really remember about this song, but it is still pretty good. It has a more theatrical vibe to it, and, you know, it is more on like the it is more of a chaotic sounding song, unlike a lot of them on this album. And yeah, Never Enough is the next track, which probably is my least favorite on the album, but that's not saying much because I still think it's fairly good. And then Sacrifice Sons, which I think is actually a pretty good song, actually. This is a song that I do return to occasionally. I think everything about this song is actually really good. It has a really nice, verses, and of course the chorus is super memorable to me. And it's something that, you know, can stick with you. And of course, we can't ignore the masterpiece on this album, which is, of course, the title track, Octavarium, which is the longest song on the album, and It really is a great way to close an album. This song has full of surprises. It's always throwing surprises at you, and I think the whole band just did terrific on this song. And this is usually the song that people think of when they think of, the songs on this album, and for a lot of people, this is their favorite track on the album, and I can see why. It's definitely up there with one of my favorites. It's an epic way to close an album, and I think it's a song that you can't go wrong with. And yeah, one of their biggest songs, of course, Octavarium, and great way to close an album. Alright, so that is my review of Dream Theater's album, Octavarium. I'm going to have to give this album probably either an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. It's that good of an album. It's not exactly 10 out of 10. There's mainly because there's a couple tracks that I will skip here and there, mainly Panic Attack and Never Enough. But they're still pretty good songs for what they are. But I just don't return to those ones as much. But this is a really good progressive metal album, and, I would give my recommendation to go and pick it up. And if you're wanting to get into Dream Theater, would this be a good start? I wouldn't say no, but I wouldn't say yes either. Because, I don't know, maybe it just has to do with this not being my first Dream Theater album. Like I said, my first Dream Theater album was Awake. And with that being said, I would recommend with either starting off with Awake, Images and Words, or maybe even 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. But if you do want to start off with this album, I think that'd be fine too. I think, after checking out this album, you should feel more obligated to, check out more of this band's music. Because, Dream Theater, after hearing, a lot of their work, especially like in the 90s and the early 2000s, I realized how phenomenal these guys are at what they do. And so yeah, Octavarium, really, really good Dream Theater album. Maybe top 3 favorite Dream Theater albums, if not at least top 5. That much you gotta give it. So yeah, that's my review for this album. I want to know what you guys think of the album if you've listened to it. So thank you for watching, have a good one, and take care.